Please be aware this is my personal opinion, and to expect full spoilers for the topic ahead. The Super Mario Bros. Movie. Nintendo's full-fledged attempt at adapting the Mario series into a feature film. One that's trying to stay true to its source material, while also appealing to those unfamiliar with it. I didn't expect much from this movie going in, but if there's anything I wanted out of it, it was to see the Mario world and characters fleshed out in a more interesting way. And what we got is a cliche, unintelligent story dressed in a Mario backdrop. People claim all the time that films like this are made for children, as kind of an excuse for a lack of depth or value. But these days, there are so many shows and movies that younger and older audiences can enjoy together that that's just not an acceptable reason anymore. If you can't tell, there isn't much I liked about this movie. I enjoyed seeing the Mario world animated in high quality, and it does have some nice imagery at times. I also appreciated the many references it makes to things from the series, and other Nintendo properties. Aside from that, though, I liked the Luma? And that's about it. My biggest problem with this film's just how fabricated the story is, and I assume it's like this because they had a hard time integrating the characters in a way that made sense and gave everyone something to do. But because of this, the progression feels very inorganic, and several things clearly only happen to push the movie where it wants to go. Mario and Luigi pointlessly meander into the sewers to find the warp pipe. Luigi gets separated from Mario for no good reason. Toad dedicates himself to Mario and Peach while barely knowing them, and the movie treats this like a joke to try to cover up how forced it is. Peach shows Mario the platforming ropes for some reason when she's already plenty capable. Bowser never uses the star he grabs at the start, which the penguins also could have used to fight against him. There are so many contrived happenings like this because the story doesn't know how to make characters move through the adventure naturally. It all ends up feeling very artificial to hit the mandatory movie beats, making it hard to get into the characters and story, especially when it's laden in a world of nonsense that the movie makes no effort to contextualize. And when it does try to explain things, it's with vague and ridiculous scenes like Peach's origin story. I've never been a fan of the Marios from Brooklyn lore. They don't even really acknowledge this in the games anymore, so I was disappointed to see it fully embraced here. Connecting the Mushroom Kingdom to the real world changes how it feels as a location, as well as Mario's relationship with it. This Mushroom Kingdom's not especially whimsical, because there isn't much to see here outside of its famous citizens, the Toads, who are more unappealing than ever. These Toads are anything but cute. They're creepy and annoying. Every character feels different from its game counterpart, which is to be expected to some degree, but it's not a good sign when they're almost all less likable. Mario's pathetic and has to be taught how to be the Mario we enjoy from the games. He has an attitude, hates mushrooms because, wouldn't that be funny? And is sadly burdened with a dime a dozen gotta prove myself to my parents and bullies typical protagonist storyline. Having to show up people who don't believe in you is not the most enlightened message today, and has absolutely no basis in the series. This is an uninspired self-discovery plot with Mario slapped on it to appeal to the masses. Luigi's a bit more likable, but is barely given anything to do. Almost every scene with him, he's just cowering from something. They clearly couldn't figure out a good use for his character. As is, he's a plot point who pads out the runtime. Princess Peach is decidedly more competent and headstrong than in the games, which I'm fine with, but that's all her character is here, and it makes her going to bat for Mario hard to believe. They play it up like it's Mario's perseverance that sets him apart from others. He can withstand loads of abuse from Donkey Kong, but nothing about it feels earned. He can just do this because he's the hero of the story. Peach shows plenty of ability on her own, and does a great job fighting Bowser and his minions without him, making Mario feel unnecessary in his own movie. This is a pretty shallow cast, with one exception, Bowser. For one, he looks great, and he's very animated. He's certainly one of the more fun parts of the film, but even with with this considered, I think they made him a little too nasty. I know he's a villain, he's supposed to do bad things, but a mass execution isn't Bowser. He's a selfish jerk, sure, and wants to control things, but he doesn't revel in needless murder. The only other character worth mentioning is Donkey Kong, and he's fine. I appreciate that he has a complicated relationship with Mario, considering their strange history in the games, but he doesn't add much to the film. The overall inclusion of the Kongs feels like a decision to fill time with recognizable faces. Perhaps the most noticeable reason these characters feel so different is thanks to their less than stellar voice casting.
Hours of my life.
No, Chris Pratt as Mario and Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong are by far the worst. Jack Black as Bowser's certainly the best, but none of them are ideal. Dialogue and writing's also pretty bad. Themes and morals are spelled out to the audience, and hardly any of the jokes work.
Destiny is calling.
Destiny Del Vacchio from high school?
What?
This movie rarely succeeds at being funny, even the one-liners.
That is how you princess!
That is how you princess? It's important to clarify that the Luma's completely exempt from these criticisms, and I did like this one Donkey Kong joke.
And what my dad thinks I'm a joke too.
Yeah, well, your dad's right!
As far as the action scenes go, they get the job done, but the choreography's really basic, so they're not very impressive. The soundtrack's also lacking. It's often just blaring noise, trying too hard to sell whimsy and important moments. The pop songs in particular are really unfortunate, and effortlessly pulled me out of the film. And, well, I guess that covers it. It's a shame this movie's as lacking as it is, because there's so much you can do with this subject matter. While it can be fun to just exist in Mario's world, nothing about the progression or characters feels natural, or even very smart. It's clear everything's happening because it's a movie, and little efforts made to hide that. We're on an adventure now! Don't you feel like you're on a Mario adventure viewer? We're all best friends! Because, well, we're supposed to be. As a real attempt at an animated film of the most famous video game franchise out there, this is an adequate enough start. But I hope whatever comes next presents a more stimulating adventure and interactions, or at least captures the appeal of the Mario series more accurately. The Super Mario Bros. Movie just doesn't have much substance. It's a Saturday morning cartoon with pretty aesthetics and nothing to say, evaporating from your mind as soon as it's over. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, consider checking out the description for ways you can help support my channel. And feel free to let me know in the comments any movies or shows you'd be interested to hear my thoughts on. As always, be well everyone, and I'll see you next time.